Hi, Josh.
Hi, Lara.
We're speaking to Josh because he is an epic nature guardian and I think teacher as well. And you've got a lot of people together behind you running various projects. One of them you're going to tell us about later, but the one that I noticed once when I was having dinner with you was a poster behind you of the 3-year biopic that you filmed and won awards for, filming the Dalai Lama as a leader of the Tibetan people, which was remarkable and amazing. You're also kind of historian. You're going to do a historic documentary soon, I think, is in the writing. Big man on plant medicine too. So I'm looking forward to your tip. If you just wanted to say hi and introduce yourself, and then I'll ask you what your special tip is for us to relate.
Thanks, Lara. Thanks, Lara. Yeah, no, really excited to be on this. Been following your video interviews for a bit, and yeah, excited to be here. Yeah, so my background is filmmaker, journalist, and I did that for probably 12-13 years before taking over the management of my family home, which is Wasing, and we've been doing lots of events here ever since. And yeah, so the film with Dalai Lama was quite a long time ago now, 2004 to 2007, and yeah, I followed the Dalai Lama around the world, and yeah, that really started me on a journey actually of looking into I suppose a more spiritual perspective on life. It's difficult not to do that when you spend so much time with someone who has such a strong relationship with spirituality as the Dalai Lama, and yeah, it had quite a profound effect on me.
How old were you then?
Gosh, 30 to 33, 34.
Really amazing age to do something like that.
Yeah, no, we were very fortunate, actually, very fortunate.
Fantastic. So, Josh, while you're on the site of this place, which is normally lit up by flames and lights and people's clothing and singing and laughter, what's your tip for us to relate to nature, for the people who are watching, anyone who could actually do something today to help them connect and relate to nature?
Yeah, I mean, I would say getting out into nature is always going to be the first step, and even just starting to notice your natural environment around you and the changing seasons, and how your local environment starts to work with the seasons, and when the birds start to tweet and spring comes as we're starting to approach now, the differences that you see when you look around, and yeah, I think spending time on your own is good. Contemplation and being close to trees, woodland especially. We're very lucky here at Wasing to have such beautiful woodland around us, so it's something that I would strongly recommend. Big fan of hugging trees. That's a top tip.
I mentioned hugging a tree on my interview with Izzy Winkler the other day as well. I thought, oh, there I go.
Can't beat hugging trees.
Well, they're so good for us. Their telecommunication system, which is invisible to us, is actually amazingly good for our immune system. Yeah. So come down to Wasing, I guess, is the tip. Well. Yeah, absolutely. And we do lots of events down here, in particular Medicine Festival, which we had our first event last year, one of the only events to take place last year. And it was the inaugural event, but that really is something which is about bringing people into closer connection with nature. And the specific background to that was from a experience I had meeting an amazing tribal people in the southwestern part of the Amazon in Acre, called the Yawanawa, and it was through meeting them actually that I came to the view that we ought to be putting on a
an event that my friend Ben Christie had originally proposed many years before. But I saw the way that they interacted with nature, and it's a whole nother level to what we in the West understand to be interacting with nature. And it was very inspiring. And so I sort of felt the sense that, if we could bring some small sort of part of that culture, that way of being part of nature, then it would be a fairly new and interesting thing for our culture in the UK. So we set about planning Medicine Festival, and we're in the middle of that journey now.
Amazing. Just tell us a tiny little bit about what to expect at Medicine Festival.
It's it's a very, very family orientated event with for all ages, and it's bring people into a space, no alcohol. So it's a very conscious event with a very clear opening and a closing to the event. There's an element of ceremony the whole way through, and certainly to come in a way, it's a bit like a sort of portal, I suppose, stepping into a space where one is able to connect to each other, but also to connect to the environment around us, and developing and learning and certain skills which enable us to do that, and hopefully it might be the start of a journey for people who are interested in getting a bit closer to nature. I was sort of liken it slightly when I sort of see some indigenous cultures in the way that they relate to the environment around them, and I sort of see it as being part of an orchestra. And we in the West often stand aside. We're in the stalls, we're in the audience, but we're not really part of the amazing music that's being created. And I think that's what the mission here is to try and bring people into the orchestra so that they feel that they are part. If they're setting an intention, or they're able to relate to things which normally you would think you have no impact to whatsoever. But if one finds oneself in that space, then suddenly you find that your body is telling you things, and you're getting ideas and thoughts and inspiration, which comes through just being in the space. And it's a very subtle but very important difference to how most of us in the West are brought up and experience nature.
I love that. And the thing is, it's opening up your eyes to knowing that you don't even have to try to be in the orchestra. Once you're in a space with so many people with the same intention and so much respect for nature and for each other, you then feel that you're in the orchestra. You've never been watching it, and you've never been conducting it. You don't want to. You're in it, and I think that's an essence of life that I think people don't get to feel. It taps into an extraordinary amount of creativity, and in your unique creativity and your own unique path in life. I think that's a way for people to see it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy, especially if you haven't grown up with it and been brought into it. But I think if you are able to do that work, I mean, there is you can go on vision quests in this country. I mean, there are people who do that, people like Andreas Roberts, who would be a great guy to speak to on this, actually. But he takes people out for 48 hours, or even just one night, and sleeping alone outside. The shamanic path is part of that, I suppose. But even if you go out and you sleep overnight for one night in nature, then it can have huge impacts and huge changes in the way that you see things. Imagine doing that for a year. Very powerful.
Very powerful, and I think it really helps people who are feeling very guilty, or like they need to control their lives, or they think so very human thoughts which are so drowning us at the moment about judgment, self-judgment, and whether this happened because we did this and that happened because we did that. And if you have these moments, like even if it's an experience at a great workshop, a short one, that you realize that you're actually not solely responsible for anything, and everyone else is connected to you, and you're connected to nature, and there's a responsibility lies, and the sort of the sort of support lies all around you. You don't have to feel, guilty or.
Exactly, and and that sense of oneness, that we're not separate. That our gods are not up in the sky. They're all around us.
Yeah.
The divine is here. When people talk about heaven, we're in that space, the most extraordinary network of connections, which when it's in flow, when it's flowing in the right way together, is just a joy and there's the majesty and an awe which you don't really feel in any other way. I mean, a computer game's never going to give you that, but the sense of awe that you get when you get into that space is it's incredible, and is something that everybody should experience.
Yeah, I agree. I concur wholly and entirely, and I think I'm one of those people who've actually got into the orchestra full volume and had a very extraordinary amount of luck and support this year. So brilliant. So your top tip is to try and get a ticket to Medicine Festival. I think people should just get into the medicine space.
Yeah, 100%. The dates for Medicine are the 19th to the 23rd of August, and tickets are on sale now. We're just outside Reading, in between Reading and Newbury. Really easy transport links, and go on the Medicine Festival .com website and you'll get all the information that you need. So hopefully see as many people down there as possible.
Yeah, and it's also open. I think I saw that there's an invitation for volunteers and an invitation for practitioners to apply as well as guests. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant.
Yeah. Amazing.
Cool. I'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me, Lara.
That's okay. Bye.
Bye.